It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
You like that on 3, 1, 2, 3. You like it! Hey, you held him to 20 points, man. You gave us a chance at the end. I got 3 words for you. You like that?
Yes, welcome in to a live Feedback Friday here on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. Even in the dead of the offseason, we're here giving you things like a Kevin O'Connell interview yesterday. We hope you guys got a chance to enjoy that. And if you haven't, you can check it out either on the Purple Daily YouTube channel or podcast feeds. This show is presented by our friends at TCL, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Learn more at TCL.com and inspire greatness with TCL. And Feedback Fridays presented by Surly Brewing Company's Before I Die. Is it a session Pilsner? Can we call it a
session Pilsner? Yes, it is.
Session Pils?
Yep. It's a, let's see, I am examining a can right now, 4.5% alcohol. So it's not too much, but it's absolutely perfect. Got it right here. This is the can. These are in liquor stores right now. If you bought Before I Die last year, you will notice a new design. And as well, when it comes to this fine beer, they are now being sold in your local liquor store in 12 packs. So you can get 12 packs now. I think last year was exclusively 6. But anyway, the mission Before I Die, which has been ours for quite some time, is also a mission that you can drink to. Cheers a beer to tonight. Check it out, Before I Die, in your liquor stores now, and I believe in select bars as well.
I saw it on tap when I was golfing last Friday when I had the day off. Saw it on tap, got the turn, got it Before I Die. Was loving it. Great
It was
fun.
on tap the last time I went to Ike's at the airport. It's funny. I think I told you guys a story, but this has now happened 2 different times where a server will, I'll order the beer and then the server will say like, "Oh yeah, do you know the backstory on that?" I'm like, "Do tell?" Yes.
Yeah.
Please
No.
tell me. What do you think the backstory?
That's nice.
is?
That's cool.
So yeah, you can find it all over the place. So the first round of feedback here, and you guys can always the best place to hit us up is through the Score North app. There is a feedback tab, and that's the best way. You can send a note to Declan to get on, write that down. You can send thoughts, conspiracy theories about football. You can send us critiques, trade ideas, whatever, and we get to as many of them as possible on Feedback Friday here. But the first batch is all in reaction to the KOC interview on our show yesterday. I think people just generally love Kevin O'Connell. I agree, he just kind of comes off as a really good, likable human, a relatable guy. And Earl Abbott chimes in with the first comment here, says, "I just want to say how diametrically opposite Kevin O'Connell and Mike Zimmer are. One is affable, honest, funny, respectful, and diplomatic, while the other one is, pardon my French, a dick."
Wow.
just an observation. So your thoughts on the opposite personalities of the last 2 Vikings head coaches?
Well, let's keep in mind, pre-Kirk, from 2014 to 18 or 17, things worked out with Mike pretty well. Was he gruff? Absolutely. Did they win games? Yes, they did. The last 2 years with Mike were not fun. And I thought that the 2021 season was absolutely miserable. And Kevin has come in, breath of fresh air, very much a coach for today's players. So, yes, Kevin is a good guy. And I think he totally gets it, and I think he's very smart. He's very competitive too. Like, don't let the sunny exterior fool you. If he needs to get mad, he can get mad. But, I feel like the end of Mike has colored now how we all like, oh, Mike was this and that. And yeah, it was bad, but there were a lot of good years. And Phil, we did it entire segments in 2014 and 15 and 16 about how effective Mike was, and that defense was great. So I would urge you, don't forget that Mike had some good days, and that gruff exterior actually at one point worked pretty damn well.
Yeah, it did, and I think it's hard sometimes when things go south at the end of a coaching tenure or GM tenure. It's hard for it not to be the lasting memory.
Sure.
Because the first 5 or 6 years of Mike Zimmer, nobody wanted him fired. Everybody lauded the hard-nosed approach. They were a tough-minded team. They were playing outdoors the first year or two, right? I think it was the first year of Mike Zimmer. They're playing outside, 20 below zero in a playoff game. Yep. And they developed a certain personality. So I guess I'm going to try my best to not just crap on Mike Zimmer every time Kevin O'Connell does or says something great, because there was a nice little 5-6 year run, and Mike Zimmer at some point should be celebrated as one of the better head coaches. He's definitely one of like the 4 best head coaches in Vikings football history. Let's see here. Bulldog LLC chimes in, says, how in the world did you fools get the head coach on your show? Judd loves when people ask questions like this.
He loves this one.
I got nothing for this. I did this last year. I did this.
There's a lot of people that weren't listening to us last year or weren't watching us last year.
Well, but I don't want to.
And are wondering, how did these fools get Kevin O'Connell on their little rinky-dinky podcast?
It's a major media company that does a Viking show, okay? And this is where the future is going. So, yeah, you know what? We got him on because we have a relationship with the team and with the coach, and it's not an act of God. Now, can we get him on all the time? Absolutely.
He thought it was K-Fan, actually. We tricked him. That's what happened.
No, he was thrilled. But anyway, no, you know what? We appreciate the help of guys like John Ekstrom, of the Vikings PR department, who enabled us to set that up. But we are not doing this podcast from my basement, no matter what it looks like behind me, because this is
what floor is this on, actually? Is it on the
first floor?
Is that do you have a basement?
Yeah.
I've never been invited inside your house, even though we've known each other.
No, you don't want to come in. You don't want to come in.
So you don't have a basement?
I do have a basement.
You do, okay.
But it's mostly just storage stuff.
I was just going to clarify, because if this was the bottom floor, technically it would be.
Oh no, I do have a basement. This is my room.
Okay.
Where I have
my office got flipped. I was telling Phil this, Judd. So like, we moved into this house, and I was in the bedroom to the left, to the stairs, and then I was golfing last weekend, and my loving fiance said, like, I have something really important to ask you, and please don't get mad. And I'm like, oh God, what bombshell is she gonna drop on me here?
Yeah.
Hey, can I flip your office to the other bedroom? Because the other bedroom fits a queen size bed better for the guest bed. I was like, that's how we set that up.
How many different
my office?
Worse things were going through your head in that one? I'm cheating with the mailman.
Yeah.
I'm gonna defend her though, Declan. Your patience is so thin. Like, you could be set off by a very I flipped the freezer, and you might flip yourself. So I don't know. Like, your patience is at an all-time low right now. So
yeah, she's walking on eggshells.
You're making your house live in hell, Mike Zimmer.
Yeah. You need to chill out, Dex. You need to chill out, maybe.
I mean, she's afraid to ask you. Look at yourself. Look inside when she's afraid to ask you about flipping a damn room. And have more patience with me, too.
Oh, that's what this is about.
No, I mean, it can't hurt.
Whoa.
Do you guys need to have a therapy session right now?
It's always about me. No, I mean, he's fine, but I'm just saying his patience used to be very, very long. But as he's become more secure, it's gotten shorter. And you know what? Same thing with the gal. I mean, now you're engaged.
I've always had pretty terrible patience.
No, but you hit it.
That's nothing.
But you hit it previously.
And now there's like a delay on Declan's end, so it's even more awkward.
Yeah.
There's some tension. There's tension between you guys, and the internet delay is making it seem even worse. It's like Declan isn't responding to you.
But
if you guys, there's a delay for you guys too.
If we need to block out some therapy time for you guys at some point, we can. Okay, the next question here is from Dave in Duluth. Here is a Feedback Friday question I think I know the answer to in a broad sense, but I wanted a little more perspective from guys who have worked the beat. And yes, we have the former lead Vikings beat writer from the Star Tribune and also from 1500ESPN.com back in the day. So when you're covering a beat and you're asking a coach about a particular decision during a game that went poorly, what stops you from asking really pointed questions like, hey, Rocco, Emilio Pagan, what the hell, dude? Or, Rocco, regarding Pagan, do you guys think we're stupid or something? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or apply your football example, right? I know why you can't be that direct, but do you guys have any stories about how you've pushed that envelope in the past as a beat writer and how it went over? Keep up the good work. And don't worry, Declan, Duluth isn't for everyone, but I bet we could show you a good time up here. Dave from Duluth.
So, like, you're not going to be, you don't need to be for the most part. There are times where it changes. It's ordinarily not game stuff. I don't think need to be confrontational. You do, but there's appointed questions, not confrontational, in my opinion. Like, it can be uncomfortable, but it's not confrontational. But I mean, here's a perfect example of one that actually went just fine. So when the Vikings lost the 2009 NFC title game against the Saints, it was on deadline. So like I had to file my story, get downstairs, which was a haul from the press box at the Superdome. And by the time I got downstairs, Childress had basically talked because the game was a disaster. So like he just went in and did his press conference. And so we never really got that night to ask about 12 men in the huddle. At his end of the season press conference, that had to be asked. And I asked, and he actually at that time said, "I'm glad you asked. I'd like to clarify it." So like it was sort of an uncomfortable question, but like, am I going to say?
Do you remember what your question was? Was it, hey, do you think you deserve to be fired for the idiotic move of having 12 men on the field?
I think it was.
Why should you keep your job, Brad?
I think it was, we've heard that Tahi was the extra man. I'd like you to explain that. And he said, "I'm glad that you asked the question." But the thing about it is, you're not going to ask a disrespectful question off of a game thing because the coach is just going to get pissed off and probably not answer said question. What you want, and Phil, no, that's going back to Gardy. What you want is you want the answer. And if you're confrontational, you're going to get shut down.
Correct. It's
and
not
that
about
helps
you.
Nobody. Exactly.
When you're a beat writer, you are a ghost. Like it is your job. And sometimes people maybe make fun of the way, well, I'll say two things. One, sometimes people maybe make fun of the way obvious questions are. Like, why would you even ask that question? What answer were you hoping to get? And the answer to that is an answer. Like you're trying to get information so you can include color and context in articles. I do think there is a little bit of more of a fear of confrontation in today's age. I think because if you're third-party media, for instance, you're not like Vikings.com or whatever it may be.
Yep.
They don't need you as much as they did for 100 years. Before social media and before websites, if they wanted to get, they meaning like a team or a player or whatever, if they wanted to get a quote out or a message out, they had to go through third-party media because they couldn't just go on their Instagram account or go on the website or whatever. Right. So you could get away with being a little bit more cantankerous, or maybe a little bit more, you could be more critical or whatever, and they might get pissed, but they know at the end of the day, if I want to get a quote out, I got to go through the Star Tribune to reach the most people. Mm-hmm. And that leverage is dwindling by the day when it comes to those relationships. So it's a little bit more of a tricky dance, but like ultimately your job is to ask questions that get, and if you're, because again, fans oftentimes want the beat writer to be the voice of the fan in the question as well, which is, why are you still employed? You're a clown, right? Like, go at him hard. Well, but you have to maintain some relationships so you can still be there on a daily basis. So it is a delicate dance.
And you can fire that question off. You just have to make damn sure it's in the proper place. So like if a coach doesn't go for it on fourth down, ask about it. That's awesome or something. But you can't be like, that was the stupidest thing I've seen. Because like now you're firing bullets that are going to cost you and you get nothing back. So you tell me this, you tell me that. Now I will give you a couple of examples here of when it was profitable or the smart move to go after a coach. When Childress did the whole
Judd getting replaced by AI.
I could be. You never know. So when Childress did the press conference the day after the Moss debacle game against the Patriots, and he had released Moss, and he was asked about because the press conference was weird, and I recall Bob Sansevier finally said, "Have you released him?" And Brad's like, "No, blah 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 blah." Well, he had. So the Wednesday after that, I decided, screw it. I'm going to go after Childress because he just flat out lied. And it wasn't a small lie. It was a big bleeping lie.
Yeah.
And so I did it. But in that case, I felt like I was the voice of the fan, because my question was, you can lie to us, but you got up here in front of everybody and just lied to the fans about a Viking who is a huge Viking. I mean, it's Randy bleeping Moss. You didn't release Chris Kluwe. And so in that case, I decided, screw it. But you can't do that every single time.
And then just show up the next day. Hey, it's me again.
And
you still work here, guy? Yeah, I'm going to get your ass fired on behalf of the fans.
And in a side session back in, what's the year that Frazier won 3 games? So that 2012 or 11?
11, right? 12 was the 2,000 yard.
In a side session with Leslie, and I mean, we're talking about the greatest guy in the world. I finally asked, I think they were sitting at 3 and 12 or something. And I said, all due respect, Les, have you gotten an answer about your job? Because you have 3 wins right now. Like, that's not a 6-win season. You're sitting on 3 wins.
Hater.
And he looked at, and this is not with the cameras there. And he looked at me and said, Judd, leave it alone. You got to leave this alone. And it was a fine exchange. But I mean, there are some times where you have to ask really pointed, tough questions, but you can't do it like after game 3 against the Buccaneers.
So one thing I learned covering the Minnesota Twins back 10 years ago, that's kind of how I got my foray into doing daily radio and stuff, is on the baseball side. And you mentioned that the cameras weren't there for Leslie Frazier.
Yep.
There is a thing about the cameras being there and not, because when the cameras are there, it's more distribution. Now you're on video, like sometimes it's live. And I remember covering Ron Gardenhire, the Twins manager. They would always do the post-game press conferences would always start with the Fox Sports North, or now Bally Sports North cameras, right? And there'd be a bright light in his face, and he's kind of hopped up, and he knows he's on live TV answering questions.
Yep.
And if something went haywire in the game, or there maybe was a bad managerial decision or something, he hated when you asked that pointed question when the cameras were rolling. Because in his mind, are you trying to... And I know sometimes he was a little oversensitive, but are you trying to make me look bad on live TV, kind of a thing?
Right.
As if it's theatrical. So I and other writers kind of learned, once the camera's off and it relaxes a little bit, or even after, maybe if it's even a really pointed thing, or you're going to write about something specific and you want clarification, you can wait till everyone kind of goes away and then pull him off to the side and say, hey, can you clarify this decision that you made here? And sometimes they're going to hate you for poking, but there's a human dynamic and a human element to walk on these beats. By the way, Dave from Duluth, that turned out to be a great question. That is the surly cheers of the show here. The Before I Die question of the day here.
Yeah, there's a total
glorious can.
There's a total game with that. Like, even in Vikings locker rooms, when I've had to do like phone interviews with ESPN Radio, which, by the way, in its own right is a very difficult job to do, because you have to convince a player to do an interview on your own cell phone with people he doesn't see or know. But there was a total game of, all right, if I can get the guys that I want, but also I have to get them strategically, because once one person hovers to a player, it's literally everyone else starts to huddle. And then you got 5 TV cameras. Then you got people asking questions. So there was literally a game of trying to figure out, how do I want to do this? Do I want to do it before the scrum happens? Do I want to pull him aside afterwards? And he's probably already exhausted with it. It's a total game. It's hard.
Yeah, you just, like, these are human beings at the end of the day. And sometimes as fans and media, you're watching things happen on TV or whatever, and it's like, no, these are humans, and they're going to react as humans. Buck Nasty chimes in here.
All right.
Buck Nasty.
Like WCW.
It does sound like a mid-90s, maybe like a second iteration of NWO member, like the 7th guy in NWO or something.
Nasty, here he comes.
Score North is fully aware they cannot grab eyeballs in a market dominated by K-Fan radio. Therefore, they must say shock jock statements in order to gain relevancy. Then they say media in the Twin Cities is soft to support their claims.
They figured it out.
Nasty.
Buck Nasty figured us out.
He figured out the Rubik's Cube.
See ya.
Oh, man.
Well,
Stella, let's get a job.
It's over. Checkmate.
Yep.
Buck Nasty.
Yep. Shock jock. Coming up next.
This might be a good time to remind Buck Nasty that Purple Daily has now charted 17 straight weeks in the top 15 among Apple's National Football Podcast list. That's right. Get the flag.
Get the flag for me. I told you not to take today off. There we go. There's the flag with the beer. Look at that. What a perfect Friday. Get out on that Bennington. Have some fun.
Get out on that. Get out on that, Bennington. Get on out there. Or maybe get on a good weight loss plan. You could tell the audience how they can do that.
Oh, absolutely. If you are trying to drop that weight, you know what? It's never too late. In fact, you can start today. So you can go from the guy on the left. That's Sports Dad. That's Sports Dad on the right. What happened, Sports Dad? You say. I'm going to tell you right now. It is thanks to my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers who helped me a couple of years ago now drop 40 pounds. They can help you do the exact same thing. And here's the most important thing. They're going to help you keep that weight off. Exactly. So you're going to lose the weight and you're going to keep it off. And now you're saying, how do I get started? And do you have a deal for me, Judd? A summer deal? And I absolutely do. First 8 weeks are free if you contact them today. First 8 weeks for free. So you're down, let's say 15 to 20 pounds and you haven't paid a dime yet. That's how this works. Livia.com. 855 go LIVEA. Livia, LIVEA.com. Lose that weight. Keep it off. Feel great for summer.
Okay, Kyle P chimes in. This is a doozy here. Thought experiment. If it absolutely guaranteed the number 1 overall pick in the 2024 draft, would you trade Justin Jefferson?
Oh, I love who's this from again? I can't recall his name again. And you just read it.
3 guesses.
I didn't even listen, but
just get 3 guesses. Let's see if you can get it. Dan? No.
John. Charlie.
No, not Charlie. It was Kyle. Kyle P wants to know if
Kyle.
it guaranteed the number 1 overall pick in the 2024 draft, would you trade Justin Jefferson?
Caleb Williams. It's a Oh my
it's
God.
It's an instant yes for me, and I love Justin Jefferson is a Hall of Famer in the future, but Caleb Williams is next level. So I would do this.
I think so. I think you have to, don't you?
Yeah, I think you gotta. I think you have to. I would do it.
That was good.
Yeah, like Caleb Williams, by all accounts and measurements, he's one of those like once every 5 years kind of sure things where his floor is going to be, Pro Bowls and stuff.
Yeah.
So he is. By the way, I was looking at this on Pro Football Focus. He is the number 1 quarterback against pressure. So when he gets pressured, he's still incredible. And, he's playing a tough schedule. So I would, if it was one of the best young quarterbacks in the world on a rookie scale contract for 5 years, sorry, JJ. Got Jordan Addison, too. I mean, those guys, he's college wide receiver.
A small guy.
I mean, obviously, JJ's probably the best wideout in the game, but it's the type of game now in the NFL where you can find wide receivers. Like KJ Osborne's a 5th round pick, and he's certainly not a number 1 bona fide stud. But you can find good wide receivers in the NFL now. You have to do this. I think you'd have to.
I mean, he's a great player, but yeah, generational quarterback potential. Whew.
Make the call.
I love that question, Charlie.
Jake T says, "What's up, boys? I know we've been talking a lot about Danielle Hunter, and a lot of the fan base seems to want to get rid of him, and I'm not sure why. They say he's injury prone when that's just simply not true. Irv Smith is an injury prone player. That's not what Danielle Hunter is. He's had a couple freak injuries, showed no signs of struggle playing all 18 games last year, including the playoff game. Why does it seem like Vikings fans are trying to cope with losing Danielle Hunter by saying he's not good or injury prone when he was like one of 3 good defensive players we had last year? And just saying it's because we had the 31st ranked defense doesn't matter. It's a lazy cop out. What do you think of this sort of, well, he's injury prone, he wasn't really that good compared to before the injury?
I have not seen a ton of that. So I have actually, I feel like I've seen more Vikings fans that want to keep him than I have get rid of him. But yeah, I just don't, my personal opinion is he's in that in-between zone where you are not going to maximize the return and he's still good enough to help you. And the Vikings are going to be, I think, a competitive team. So yeah, I have not seen a bunch of Vikings fans dump on Danielle specifically, but I will say that I am in the camp of I would look for a way to keep him.
Yeah, I think you got to keep him a little bit here too. It stunk because he was injured to the prime of his career, which we'll talk about on the Saturday Check Down episode 2, where he just missed a season and a half, where he was on a pace to be a Hall of Fame level pass rusher. And could he still get there? Certainly. And those injuries are weird, neck and a pec injury, but it's also football, man. Like, people get hurt. The fact Kirk Cousins hasn't missed a game outside of COVID is remarkable. It's just insane.
Yeah, I think it is true that Danielle's not the same player he was 3 years ago. And maybe the injuries, or maybe it was the scheme. We might find out that in Brian Flores' scheme, all of a sudden he's back to being not like the 10th best edge rusher, but back in that mix with TJ Watt and Nick Bosa and these other guys.
Yeah. He had 10.5 sacks in what we considered to not be a great year.
Mm-hmm.
That's still pretty damn good.
And he still was like 8th in pressures or something.
Yes.
So yeah, I think there's probably some fans that are bracing, because it does seem like there's some tension between him and the organization. But I think the betting odds are he'll be back with a new contract. John Anderson says, can you guys explain your thought process on the Cousins situation? Meaning, why don't you think we can just let him go next March and move on and draft our quarterback? Why do we need Cousins around to tutor the next quarterback? And then he kind of lists a couple other examples. Thoughts?
Well, first of all, I have never said, in fact, personally, I have said the opposite. I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to help develop his replacement. Okay. So the tutor thing, no. All we have said, I think, especially me speaking for myself, all I have said is I think that there's a chance that Kirk Cousins continues to be the quarterback if they don't find a replacement. I've also said that it could be a bridge, but keep in mind, if you're talking about drafting the next QB, you got to be damn sure it's the right guy. The Ponder thing is the cautionary tale, and I know that was awful, but the Ponder thing was a pick where it's like, we're going to draft a quarterback and we're going to play him. And guess what? It didn't work. And so I don't dislike Kirk enough to say he has to be gone no matter what. But I don't think that I've been in his corner in some big way either. I don't know what the answer is. And I don't think that the Vikings do. And I think it's very fair to say that there are several doors from which they might have to choose from. But one thing is, I don't think that they're purposely ever going to get bad. Sorry. I would personally probably at some point. I don't think that they're going to do that. If they win 3 games, something's just gone wrong. That's not a predetermined let's tank.
Yeah, it's the fear of the unknown. And that's what they are probably tepid to do. And that's why it's scary to get rid of Kirk Cousins. Like, you have a nice, really reliable car. Well, you could move on that car and buy a new one, but could be more expensive down the road. There could be problems down the road with it, but it's the fear of the unknown. That's why they aren't committal yet on getting rid of him, and that's why that's the big decision they'll have to make in March, is do they want to enter the unknown territory outside of Kirk Cousins? Yeah,
and if you're ranking reasons to, let's say, extend Kirk for another year, and by the way, at this point, I'm not sure he would just sign up for a 1-year extension. I think if you're him now, right, you can. Yes. It's the middle of June. You've already gotten past sort of the uncomfortable conversation from March and April that, hey, we're not going to, or from February and March, we're not going to give you an extension. Yeah. Well, now you're 9 months away from just being able to hit the market, whether you go back to Minnesota or you can get 3 interested teams in a bidding war. I'm saying, like, this is what his mindset probably is. Mm-hmm. So if I don't even know that unless it's a 2 or 3 year contract, I don't know that he would want to come back on a 1-year contract. So that's something to consider. But then on the other side, let's say you do lock him in for 1 more year somehow. The reasons you would do that don't start with mentoring his replacement.
No, nothing to do with that.
I think it would be, hey, we're not confident that we can keep winning 8, 9, 10, 11 games and flirting with division titles with a rookie quarterback. So we want the insurance policy of having a good, solid veteran. It would be more for like winning the most games. It wouldn't be, hey, Kirk, can we sign you for $40 million for 1 more year to be a $40 million mentor to, fill in your first round quarterback that you trade up for. No, I don't think it's a prerequisite that he has to be around when you draft the next quarterback.
And can we get past that too? I'm so sick of that. The mentor thing, right? Favre wouldn't mentor Rodgers, and Rodgers didn't really mentor Love, and blah, blah, blah. Why would you, like when did it become the responsibility of the incumbent to mentor his replacement? Like, if you think about it, it makes no sense. Now, if he does, that's awesome. That probably makes him a great guy. But like this whole thing of, and as I keep saying, you hired Kevin O'Connell to mentor that kid. That's
Amen.
why you hire O'Connell. He's the
Yep.
mentor. The offensive coaching staff, the mentors. But this whole thing that we have fell in love with of, well, Favre didn't mentor Rodgers. That makes Favre a bit. No, he didn't want to lose his job, and it's not his job. He's not paid to mentor. He's paid to try to win football games.
Yep. You can be cordial and you can be nice and you can answer questions if it were me in that situation, if in the NFL, if I were Kirk Cousins and hey, I might only have 5 more years left or whatever it is, I'm not actively looking to replace myself, I would be cordial. I would be nice. If that quarterback, if Jaron Hall had a question for me, I will answer the question, but I'm not going to go out of my way to like make him awesome.
Well,
and it doesn't even really help the team that much, I guess, unless you get hurt and he comes in and has to win some games until you get back,
If some hot take punk knocked on my door right now and said, the Hubbards just hired me and eventually I'm going to replace you, Mr. Zuglad, I wouldn't sit here and be like, okay, here's how you give a hot take, kid. I'd be like,
so what happens on
Well, I
Purple
guess you
Access
could sit
when you have Tyler Fornes on? Are you just steering him in wrong directions?
no, I see
I mean,
Tyler as
Tyler
a,
Fornes could be a Judd
Tyler's a
replacement
colleague-
someday.
Tyler has a different skill set and he brings something.
Oh, now
I'm saying if you hired the next Judd, I ain't going to help that kid.
That's it. Brett Favre once said Aaron Rodgers has a different skill set. Okay, I think I'm okay here.
Tyler brings the film watching, the draft perspective. Those are things that I don't bring as much.
Edward Joseph says, with Lewis Seen seemingly not able to surpass Cam Bynum, Jordan Addison already being a no-show so early on and snubbing the sports dad, and with Ty Chandler not being able to land the number 2 running back thus far, or the number 2 running back spot, is it fair to have serious concerns about Kwesi's decision-making and ability to identify and draft players?
Now that is a great question. I think the jury's out. I think the jury is out. No question about that. When it comes to Seen so far, now, am I going to sit here a year plus in, 2 years in a year plus in and hammer Kwesi? Absolutely not. But I do think that what he is saying is definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, it's a little concerning. I mean, especially too now with Addison, and I know he's probably clearly banged up. It was seen, he was just behind the 8 ball from the get-go, and then we were trying to figure out, well, is it Donatel's fault? Is it Seen's fault? Then he breaks his leg in a gruesome injury in London. He gets set behind there. So a lot of circumstances I thought were working against Lewis Seen. But you certainly don't want to see someone like Addison also, if he is indeed healthy by the time training camp rolls around, can't beat out, KJ Osborne, or can't beat out someone for a number wide receiver 3 or make a significant impact, because you can't just keep missing on high first-round picks.
I need to see like 8 games of this season before I start to really
I agree.
Judge the 2022 and 23 drafts. If we get to like week 8 or week 9 and Lewis Seen is a special teams player and Jordan Addison has 15 catches and Ty Chandler is really doing nothing, he's not the backup running back, then I'll start to have major questions. Here's a great trivia question from Tim G. I see a lot of fans complaining about the Dalvin Cook release, but here's why cutting a Pro Bowl running back is a winning move by the Vikings. Since 2000, only 4 teams have won the Super Bowl while having a Pro Bowl running back. Can you guys name those 4 teams?
Since 2000?
Since the year 2000, only 4 teams have won the Super Bowl with a Pro Bowl running back from that season.
Jamal
and
Lewis.
I'm trusting this research, by the way. Jamal Lewis is a good guess. It's a really good guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see here.
You're kind of
Todd
close
Gurley.
on that.
Todd Gurley. He's really
Mm-mm.
good with the Rams. Oh no, Rams didn't win a Super Bowl.
Whoa.
They went
Wow.
to the
Yeah.
18-1 and
No,
lost.
I didn't. Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, Marshawn Lynch.
There's
Lynch.
one. Okay, got momentum. Momentum.
Okay. Did this guy make the Pro Bowl? Did Ray Rice make the Pro Bowl when the Ravens won?
There's two. Got two
Nice.
more.
Very nice.
The other two are from, by the way, it hasn't happened in 10 years. Marshawn Lynch was the last one.
All right, here's
These
a
other
poll.
two are from further back.
Here's a poll. Ryan, who was the Packers running back in 2010? Ryan Grant? Is that who it was?
It's a good guess, but it's not Ryan Grant.
Okay. Trying to think of Super Bowl winners. Patriots running backs. I mean,
There's a bunch of
There's
guesses
there
here
is a
that
Patriots
are coming
running back
in.
in here.
LeGarrette Blunt.
Further back.
Further back. Man.
This is like the first chunk of the dynasty.
Well, not Maroney. That was middle.
I believe this player once actually set the record for rushing yards in a game.
Well, no. In a game?
I think so. I think he held it at one point. Maybe I'm wrong on this.
I don't think so.
Kevin Dillon? What? No, Dillon?
Corey
Corey
Dillon.
Dillon.
Did Corey Dillon break the record one time? Or am I smoking something? Hold on. Now we got to Google it. The other one is Mike Allstott, by the way.
Oh, never gotten that one. Great running back. Or
Mike
fullback,
Allstott
but-
was more of a fullback.
Yeah.
Corey Dillon once ran for 278 yards in a game against the Broncos in 2000. It was the single game rushing record for 7 years or did Jamal Lewis?
Jamal Lewis broke the
it,
record.
and then Adrian Peterson
broke Jamal Lewis's record because Chester Taylor was on both teams.
Is that Adrian Peterson record completely untouchable at this point?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because I
Unless
don't
the
know
game
that
shifts back to a dominant bell cow
yeah.
running back. Yeah, I would say so.
I would say
Or
the
someone
only,
busts off like two 90-yard runs in the same
that's
game.
exactly what I was going to say. It's going to be like a guy who busts out two 80-yard runs and then just kind of chunks his way through there from there.
Yes. Okay, Drew V says, really vibing with the content recently.
Nice.
Thank you, Drew.
Drew. I love the community building that you guys are doing. Listening to Movie Rewinds also is fantastic. You can find Movie Rewinds with Mackie and Judd anywhere you find podcasts. Romcom Rewind, we're going to record today. Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I'm really excited about the Netflix series Quarterback that comes out here in about a month.
Yep.
One idea would be if you guys had a set day or segment every week to give your reactions to that week's quarterback episode. Would love to feel like I'm following along with you guys. It would give me another thing to look forward to on your content. So I think they're going to dump all those episodes at once on, is it July 12th? It's 8 episodes, 45-minute episodes. So we were just talking off mic yesterday. How do we, if they dump all the episodes, we're going to probably try and binge the whole thing. We'll give it like a 24-hour window, and then we'll probably just do a couple episodes reacting to it. I don't know. Like, if it's weekly, that'd be better, because then we could just make it an 8-week reaction thing. But we're probably going to binge it and then just do a couple reaction episodes and dump them in the feed, unless you guys have better ideas than that.
Yeah, I mean, it stinks with it coming out in one, because I would love to do an episode-by-episode breakdown, kind of like we did when The Last Dance came out in the middle of COVID, when there was nothing going on, and that was a huge deal. But we have to kind of strategize and think how we want to go.
We could do
that.
two or three at a time as well.
Ooh. Yeah, what if we
trying
did
to
four?
do a ton? Because I think if we try and encapsulate it all in 2 episodes,
Rare.
that it'd be too much.
Maybe it is. We do episode 1 and 2,
Right.
and then episodes 3 and 4 or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Little
Okay.
tease too, makes people wait. If there was good things in episode 7 or something, we can build it up.
Yes. So that's the feedback batch here for this week on Purple Daily, presented by our friends at Surly, the Before I Die glorious Pilsner.
It's right there. It's right there. And it's at your local liquor store right now. 12 packs. Fine session beer.
A fine session beer. So yeah, you can always hit us up throughout the week. We stockpile as many as we can for Feedback Friday. And yeah, if you're watching us live here, if you could click the subscribe button and the like button on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, you can help us spread the word about this awesome community. And then in about, 12 minutes from now, a little bit before the top of the 11 o'clock hour Central Time, we will also be live on the Score North YouTube channel as part of our live Feedback Friday extravaganza. So thanks for hanging out with us. Purple Daily, Daily Vikings Entertainment.